So why do we focus on audience so much? Well, because understanding the audience will help us to avoid building something that no one's going to use. You might have heard that a number of times. Someone has an idea, builds a product, then tries to look for users, and no one's using the product. Well, that probably means that they didn't understand their audience really well, and they didn't understand their problems and how critical those problems were for the audience, right? By spending the time, and I mean like literally spending time with your customers, with your potential customers, like whether working alongside with them or hanging out around them, um, that helps you understand them better, understand their real pains, understand how critical those pains are, and just avoids you unnecessary work of building something that they're not going to use. So, number one, always spend time with your audience, understand who you're building for. You also need to know who is it that you're targeting so that you can actually reach them, right? In order for you to target your ad campaign, well, you need to know the demographics. If you're doing like a physical product, you need to know where you're going to be able to find those customers. How are you gonna reach them? You need to know like what do they watch? Like do they listen to podcasts? Do they watch YouTube? Do they watch TV? What are the different like mediums where you can reach them? You need to know that as well. So here's an example from my experience of what not to do. We were building this freight marketplace, and one of the solutions was the mobile app for truck drivers to use as they work on shipments. And we had this idea how it's supposed to work. We did the build. We tested it out with some drivers, but it wasn't too many drivers, I guess, at that point. And I think we were like a couple of months in actually like having an app live, and the usage just wasn't there. So, and at that time, we kind of went out to the field because the operations were actually in a different city. So we went out to that different city and we started talking to these drivers. And what we realized is that they don't even have the smartphones. I mean, that was like, more than 5 years ago. So, yeah, they just had like, the button phones, and they weren't really using iPhones or Androids. And they used to operate through by calling their dispatchers, right? And so like our tech, there was no way they would use our tech. It was cool, it was nice, but like, half of the drivers were not able to use it. And we kind of realized that too late when we already had the product. So we had to kind of like patch it up, take a step back, figure out, well, how do we actually include a dispatcher in that ecosystem, and how do we allow these drivers that don't have a smartphone to actually call in a dispatcher to manage their existing shipment. So had we gone out to the field first, we would have known not to focus on the app too much, but figure out an alternative solution to begin with. So do not waste your time. Go and talk to your prospective customers first. Get to know them better before spending time and efforts and money building something.